He's extremely stubborn. So he knows deep down, oh, I mean, unless he's just a complete idiot.
I've always been strong on that. I've always been strong on the fact that I don't believe in giving them a second chance.
You're basically saying, no 3 strikes and you're out.
No 3 strikes
and you're out.
No.
One, you fail a test and gone ski.
Absolutely, because I just believe then that moving forward, people would think twice about doing it. If they think, well, you know what, I'll get a second chance anyway, you know, I might get slapped.
Business that's been going on then. What's your take on that?
My take on that is very simple. If you think you have to take any kind of performance enhancing whatever to increase or be a better fighter or whatever it is he seems to think he may or may not have done, then I believe that he's been caught not once but twice, then take his licence away, because you have to send the right...
The latest twist in Conor Benn's turbulent career has left the boxing world stunned, frustrated, and questioning whether the son of Nigel Benn has any future left in the sport. The shock came when news broke of Benn's arrest, and Eddie Hearn, once his most loyal defender, finally dropped the hammer.
And he's actually saying is that we're not sanctioning this fight. There's ongoing conversations with the lawyers and the British Boxing Board of Control. Obviously, we want everyone to be comfortable. Conor Benn, Eubank Jr. are aware of all the information.
For the first time, Hearn's words weren't protective or measured. They were sharp, unforgiving, and brutally honest. The fight is not sanctioned. Lawyers are involved. Both Conor Benn and Eubank Jr. know the full story. Hearn declared, after 3 failed drug tests.
The guy, firstly, the guy is not well. Secondly, the guy really should be here. But the fact that he's not involved, the fact that he couldn't take any money, the fact that he couldn't be involved in any decisions, stand in front of the cameras, is making him sick as a parrot.
And now a criminal matter hanging over his head, Benn has no ground left to stand on. Usually careful with public comments, Hearn openly tore into his fighter. He called Benn a disgrace, mocking his silence and refusal to face the cameras. He emphasized how damaging the scandal has become, not only to Benn's reputation but to the credibility of British boxing.
There is going to be, there needs to be an inquiry straight after this, why, what. But that's what I'm hearing. This news is as fresh to me as it is you. I'm quite sure when this goes out, it'll be all over the place anyway. But all I can say is he passed the UK.
His tone was no longer that of a promoter shielding his fighter, but that of a man exhausted by excuses, lies, and controversy. Calls for accountability followed almost instantly. Sky Sports analyst Johnny Nelson demanded a full inquiry.
By all accounts, you're on weight by the pictures you're uploading. Does that give you a bit more of a bargaining chip when you're saying, no, look, that's why I'm commanding more of a purse?
When you fail a drugs test, you don't get 50-50 split.
No. No matter commercial power pulling, no.
You don't get 50-50 split if you fail a drug.
Describing the situation as too serious to be brushed aside, Nelson reminded fans that passing a single UK test means nothing when multiple failures exist elsewhere. You can't wave one clean result as proof of innocence when the bigger picture tells another story.
Strip Benn of his license permanently.
He's done. Now, the fact that he's given back his licence to the British Boxing Board of Control, who in my opinion are the best governing body,
he argued. For Nelson, the storm surrounding Benn isn't fading, it's only intensifying. For Eubank Jr., who has endured cancelled fights, disrupted training camps, and chaos at the hands of Benn's scandals, the frustration finally boiled over. He cut straight to the point with trademark composure. If you fail a drugs test, you lose all rights to equal terms. No negotiation, no excuses. It was a direct hit at Benn, underlining a truth Eubank believes in: cheaters don't deserve privileges. For him, this isn't about money anymore. It's about principle. Fighters who break the rules forfeit their bargaining power. His words painted Benn not as a rival to fear but as a man stripped of credibility. Former world champion Duke McKenzie delivered perhaps the harshest assessment yet. In his eyes, Benn's career is already finished. Handing back his license looked like an admission of guilt.
Personally, I do not think that Conor Benn would have intensely took steroids. And that's just my opinion. He's a young, fit, strong guy. I do not see why he would need to do that. And even moving up weight, I don't see why he would need to do that if he walks about that way anyway. But for me, the key is, like I said, I feel sorry for him.
Argued, and repeated excuses of contamination held no weight after multiple failures. Strip him of his license permanently. McKenzie declared, but Mackenzie went further, dismantling Benn's reputation as a fighter. The idea of Benn knocking out Eubank Jr. was laughable. He said, "At welterweight, Benn isn't even a big puncher. His wild, reckless swings were the mark of desperation, not skill. Head down, throwing shots without aim. That's not elite boxing. That's not even disciplined boxing. That's a man out of ideas." The inevitable comparison to Nigel Benn followed, and Mackenzie didn't hold back. Conor Benn, he insisted, is not his father. He doesn't have Nigel's power, precision, or respect. Living off a legendary name while tainting his own with drug scandals has only deepened the damage. Not everyone was ready to bury Benn.
Style Conor Benn. Conor Benn's not a massive puncher, not even at welterweight. So really, he's kind of mugged himself off a little bit by saying, "I'm going to knock this guy out." He didn't give Eubank enough respect. Like I say, he was throwing shots at several points in that fight, and he wasn't even looking where they were going. It was just like head down, just winging the shots over.
Completely. Trainer Lee Mallister defended him, insisting he didn't believe Benn would intentionally cheat. He described Benn as naturally strong and fit, someone who wouldn't need steroids. But after 3 failed tests and now an arrest, that defense sounded hollow. In the end, intention matters little. Facts do. Many naturally gifted athletes have been caught doping, and saying he doesn't need it is no defense. Mallister admitted he pitied Eddie Hearn, dragged through the mud alongside Benn, but the real sympathy, he said, belongs to Chris Eubank Jr., the man forced to endure cancelled fights, wasted training camps, and the chaos of his rivals' scandals. Two-weight world champion Carl Frampton was equally scathing. Cutting through Benn's excuses like a sharp jab, Frampton dismissed the familiar lines about contamination and ignorance. At the elite level, he said, "Fighters are drilled from amateur days on one crucial responsibility, knowing exactly what goes."
That scenario before where someone says that we're spiked with performance-enhancing drugs, which that doesn't sit well with me, and it doesn't really fly with me. But I know what I'm taking. I'm not taking stuff off other people, and it's been drilled into me since day one as an amateur. We had certain supplements like multivitamins I could take, and we couldn't take certain protein powders and stuff. It was really
goes into their bodies. Ignorance is no excuse, Frampton declared, and that's the brutal reality Benn now faces. His repeated failures have eroded trust, his arrest has destroyed credibility, and his reputation has been shredded by peers, analysts, and even his own promoter. What once looked like a promising career is now on life support, buried under scandal, suspicion, and shame. For Conor Benn, there may be no way back. For Carl Frampton, Conor Benn's excuses don't stack up. Repeated failures aren't coincidences, they're patterns. And in boxing, patterns reveal character. His words served as a reminder of the gulf between fighters who respect the sport and those who drag it into scandal. In this saga, it's Chris Eubank Jr. who embodies professionalism, while Benn continues to drown in
message. The offer's been sent, and you either take it or leave it. And if you leave it, then I'm going to be great either way.
Is it done forever if this is a no this time?
I'm not going to say that. The fight's never done forever. As long as we're still breathing, and the fight is going to be of interest to
controversy. Through it all, Eubank has shown remarkable composure. His stance is simple. The offer is there, take it or leave it. Unlike Benn, he doesn't need this fight to define his career. Eubank's legacy is being built on consistency, discipline, and his ability to perform under pressure. If Benn refuses, or if the fight collapses altogether, Eubank moves forward without hesitation. What stands out most is Eubank's mentality. While Benn is mired in excuses, legal messes, and PR disasters, Eubank remains steady, calm, focused, and in control of his own narrative. He's secure in his place within the sport, while Benn's name is tarnished. American sports analyst Stephen A. Smith summed it up in blunt terms. Boxing, at its core, is about two fighters meeting on equal ground, their skills, power, and heart tested without compromise. But when one man cheats, fans are robbed of that purity. And that's exactly what happened with Benn. His repeated failed drug tests, compounded by his arrest.
Powerful individual who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot.
Have stripped the sport of fairness. Everyone loses, Smith argued. Not just Eubank, but every paying fan who wanted to witness greatness. Eubank has built his career on discipline, durability, and a willingness to fight anyone. Benn, by contrast, has poisoned the waters with excuses and suspicion. The difference between the two has never been clearer. Former cruiserweight champion Tony Bellew didn't mince words either. For him, a Benn Eubank rematch is dead in the water. How could a fighter clouded by scandal and now criminal allegations even be considered for such a stage? Bellew pressed the point further, highlighting the mental demands of boxing. Fitness and stamina alone aren't enough. Boxing is about mentality, discipline, and respect for the craft. And that's precisely where Benn falls short. In Bellew's view, Benn's reckless approach inside the ropes mirrors the recklessness of his life outside them. By contrast, Eubank has thrived.
If you're in Paddy's shoes though, you know you've had 2 warnings.
Yeah.
You need to be careful, don't you?
You do.
Treading a fine line.
You do, but it's not the head then that comes in. So he's on one final warning for the head, but getting into an exchange in the final punch of the round, he's trying to win the round.
Yeah, impress the judges at the end.
Under pressure, displaying poise, maturity, and control. That contrast, Bellew argued, tells fans all they need to know. Veteran promoter Frank Warren was just as cutting. To him, Benn versus Eubank Jr. was never a viable fight in the first place. The circus that followed, legal threats, drug scandals, and media chaos, only proved his point. It was a non-runner from the start, Warren said. The entire saga, he added, has damaged the credibility of British boxing. And for Warren, the truth is now undeniable. Conor Benn is finished, and the sport deserves better. At this stage, the story speaks for itself. Benn's reputation has collapsed under the weight of 3 failed drug tests, legal battles, and now an arrest. What was once billed as a blockbuster British clash has spiraled into a cautionary tale of wasted potential. Meanwhile, Chris Eubank Jr. stands tall, unshaken, disciplined, sharper than ever. If he keeps winning,
drop that the fight could never go forward, and some of the stuff that's come out since about people being, the board being sued and something, and so forth is just a non-runner.
He cements his legacy as the professional who carried boxing's honor while others dragged it through scandal. Of course, if Benn somehow manages to return and shock the world, it would ignite one of the sport's most controversial storylines. But even then, the question would remain, who is mentally stronger? Who truly wants it more? For most fans, the answer is already obvious. Chris Eubank Jr. has proven himself both inside and outside the ring. Conor Benn, on the other hand, has proven only that controversy follows him everywhere. And in boxing, legacy is never built on excuses.